Welcome to the Rival and Queen podcast. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Sarah.
We're so excited. I'm so happy to see you again, Sarah.
Happy Thursday, Ashley, and to everyone listening. We love you.
And now that the bubble in Halifax is officially, or Nova Scotia, I should say, bursted, we are able to hug each other.
Okay, Ashley, that happened.
Well, publicly, Sarah, not be judged.
All right. Yeah, I have hugged people publicly. I don't know if I'm still supposed to do that, and I'm sorry if that's upsetting to anyone. Ashley.
But we're sending everyone all the hugs right now.
We are coming to full freedom, and we love it. We are so amped. Ashley, Oh, do you know what actually I was thinking before we started this? For anyone who's watching this episode on YouTube, we've been releasing all our episodes on YouTube lately. They are going to love the difference in our hair from this intro to the actual recording. We just both got our hair done. About that. For the first time in 4 months, I got my hair done yesterday. Ash, you got yours done the day before.
Yeah. And mine's a bit darker this time. I went a bit darker and also just fresh. Sarah, your hair looks great. Shout out to Iron Salon, to Nathan and Sarah. We love you.
For hooking us up. I feel like I overcorrected though. It was 4 months since I got my hair done. And for everyone listening, I normally take hair supplements to make my hair grow faster, which I love. But I actually stopped taking them because my roots were I just looked like I had brown hair if my hair was back in a ponytail. Like it was getting so bad. So I overcorrected and was like, give us extra blonde this time, Nathan.
I feel like I did the opposite because, well, my hair was also super dark and super rooty. And I would kind of wanted to go more natural. Now I feel like it's so dark. But hey, summer's here. I'm going to hit the beach, be in the sun, brighten right back up.
You look beautiful. What I will say though, I was like, if a second wave of COVID hits and the hair salons go shut down again, like I'm screwed. You're going to look great.
Will you let me do your hair? Because I'll do it for you.
Yes, Nathan was like, you will be so screwed if it closes down again. He's like, I'll drop off some root stuff for you. He's like,
we could do the cap, when they used to do the I don't know what it's called.
A highlighting cap. I actually wanted to ask him about that yesterday because I was like, how upset would he be with me if I did this?
The only thing is if that goes on your head and your hair is so curly and so long, how would we get it off? Because you know how it like lifts off the head? It would be so
we're cutting it off, Ashley.
Every little hole.
I think let's hope that we never have to do this. That's what we're going to hope for. But yes, for anyone watching on YouTube this episode, particularly enjoy when we switch from the intro to our interview with Taylor and the shades of difference in our hair.
The continuity.
We're not winning on that side. That's fine.
All good.
Ash, we had a big week.
We did have a big week, Sarah. We just finished our second virtual event, really our third. We did one a few months ago during the prime of COVID, which was awesome. We had almost 70 people, and we just completed our first virtual makeup lesson with Vicky Nina, and then we did another wine tasting with Jess Babin, which was so fun.
It was so fun. We have so much fun with the community, and like yesterday I had to sleep in because I was so exhausted because it feels still like a real life party, I think, in my mind.
A tad hungover. Well, I had a little headache from the wine.
Every time we do a wine tasting, I'm 100% hungover the next day. I still was able to get up, but I needed like a moment.
Same, but it was so fun. And we got to meet this time a few new people. Well, each time actually that we've never met before. So shout out to you guys. Thanks for joining our virtual fam and our community. We're excited to have you.
Yeah, we love you guys so much. And that's my favorite part about doing the events, Ash, is every time we do them, there's new people who come into the community and it's so awesome to meet everyone. And anyways, for everyone who's come to one of the events, we love you so much and we appreciate it so much. And if you haven't come yet and you want to come to one, we have 2 more left for the summer. So we've got one Monday, July 6th with Flow Meditation. They are doing an online guided meditation for us. So that's like a night of self-care, self-love. Mm-hmm. Come hang. And then we've got also...
And that one's a donation only for businesses jamming too.
Yeah, all the money. So from all of our events, Ashley, that's a great point. We're giving a portion of our sales to the Black Business Initiative's charitable initiative, Businesses Jammin' for Youth. And they help encourage Black youth throughout Nova Scotia by teaching them entrepreneurship. We love that. So For the flow meditation one, July 6th, that's a purely donation event. So come join us. We want as many people as we can to come to that event. Then Thursday, July 16th, we're back again with Vicky Mina and with my sister, Jennifer Murphy, for another makeup lesson in depth. Cannot wait.
So excited.
I use my deep voice. That's how we know I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone wants to come join us, we'd love to have you. You can get your tickets, rivalandqueen.com/events. Come hang with us. We love it.
We hope to see you there. It's going to be fun.
So fun. Ashley, I have one other thing I want to discuss with you before we dive into introducing our fantastic guests.
Yes.
Spoiler, Taylor Crosby. We love you. So it's a week since. So, okay, I'm going to describe this terribly. A week ago, on June 18th, it was 32 days until my 32nd birthday. For anyone new here, I'm obsessed with my birthday, favorite day of the year. It's a celebration in my mind.
You cannot upset Sarah near her birthday. She will be not happy. We almost did yesterday.
Oh, yeah, because Greg, Ashley's brother, tried to hijack my birthday and set it out in Cole Harbor. No shade to Cole Harbor, a lot of love, but it's just so far away, and that's not where I want to have my birthday.
Just not your vision. But yeah, so you are starting your birthday goals early, Sarah.
I'm like, want to feel awesome on my birthday. So I'm pre-celebrating 32 days in advance, doing 32 days of Pilates or yoga. I just describe it as 32 days of Pilates because it's got a bit of ring to it, but I do let yoga be part of it. So I've already missed a day because I forgot. So we're habit building, but we're 6 out of 32 so far. We got at least one double header in the mix. Ash, you've been doing it with me.
Yeah, well, I did mine thing the same as yours, but it went after my birthday. I wanted to do 33 days of like more personal care, which was a bit of meditation, which I haven't been doing, but I really need to because I feel a bit crazy and overwhelmed at times. But I have a tick chart here of 33 days, which ends on June 27th, which is in 3 days. So I have only missed 3 days, but 2 of those 3 days I did golf. So I still think that was like a physical activity in my mind, but I am happy to tag on extra workouts to really complete like what you're doing, Sarah, and continue into your 32nd birthday. So
yeah, you're going to end up with 65 days.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not really showing or any changes right now because I've just been eating and drinking way more lately, but whatever.
Haven't told you this one yet, Ash. This is a real news break. I'm not going to drink for the next few days.
That's okay.
Like maybe a couple weeks. I've just decided I don't want to. Need
whatever
you're
feeling
to focus on my Pilates.
I feel you. I know sometimes I do that. Well, in the summer it's hard because there's so much going on, but I think it's good even during the week to not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm on a hiatus. We don't know how long it's going to last. So guys, stay tuned. Maybe next Thursday I'll be off the hiatus.
Yeah, it's Canada Day next week. So
I don't care. Just give me the sparkling water.
Okay, you can be our DD.
You know what? That sounds like a great job for me. Until I forget, and then I've had too many to drink and we'll have no way home. Yeah. All good.
You know what? Whatever you're feeling. But yeah, we're so excited to introduce our guest this week. We have Taylor Crosby, who is a local gal. She actually lives down in the States, but she is from Cole Harbor. And I've known Taylor for, I don't know, a long time. I remember seeing her at the rink running around, watching her brother. I was watching my brother. And I mean, she's still able to watch her brother today because he still plays in the NHL. My brother does not. So we do also watch Sidney and other NHL players, which we haven't been able to lately, Sarah, which is kind of weird. Baseball's coming back though.
I love baseball, but I also love hockey. And so we can't wait for hockey to return. And, you know, while we're waiting, we figured we'd fill that gap by getting Taylor on. And she was so lovely. It was the first time I've met her. You guys have a great relationship. And I'm so happy you guys connected and lined it all up because like, what a lovely soul, like just so bright and sparkly. And so in our conversation with Taylor today, guys, we talk a lot about her experiences being a female athlete, what that looks like. And, you know, obviously it's different. Like if you look at male athletes, you can go on and play in the NHL, and that just today doesn't exist for women. But it was really nice to hear her talk about her hopes for the future of female sports, her experiences, and she's so positive about it. And really, we dive into kind of how all those skill sets she's developed playing sports her life are now transferring into kind of her next phase of life as she's entering and growing her career. great conversation. She was so much fun.
Yeah, it was so good to see her, and she was actually self-isolating during that time. So I think it was really nice for us to connect and see what she's been up to and how she's doing. So it's a really great conversation.
I know, and we're gonna all get together in person next week, and I can't wait to actually.
Yes.
Oh, am I allowed to hug her? I don't know.
In the flesh, see
Guys,
people in the flesh.
someone text me the hugging rules if I'm allowed to hug people now or not.
Maybe just ask for permission, Sarah, before you do it. I think that would just be
No,
maybe a good practice for you.
I do that. I'm like, can I touch you? Like, how do we feel about these things?
Yeah.
But anyways, Taylor, if you're listening to this, please just let me know how you feel about personal boundaries before we meet next week. I love it. All right, Ash, shall we dive into this episode?
Yeah, let's do it. She is a Cole Harbour native, a role model, a women's hockey player who most recently played for St. Cloud University. And she also happens to be the younger sister of Sidney Crosby. We are happy you are with us here tonight, Taylor, and you're back on Canadian soil. So welcome to the Rival and Queen virtual studio.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're so excited. So nice to see your smiley face. And Sarah and I love doing this so much, though it's remote. It's so much fun. So
Yeah, it gives me something to do while I'm in quarantine for a little bit.
I know. So how many days are you into quarantine right now?
I think I'm 10 days in.
Oh,
Yeah.
no problem.
This should maybe be our new like rival and queen pitch. Is just like reaching out to people in quarantine.
Or do you want to talk to us for a little bit?
Yeah. Do you have an hour on Monday or Wednesdays? We are free.
Yeah,
We'll entertain you.
absolutely.
So what have you been doing to keep busy right now? I mean, there's no sports on TV. This is usually probably a time when you and or your family are super into I guess it would be kind of the finals in hockey right now, wouldn't it be?
Yeah. So I think for me, like I was still in school. So I was in grad school. Or I am in grad school. So I was doing like schoolwork. So I was actually part of that whole transition from, going to classes and being in the school to actually being on Zoom and doing those. So up until I think it was, middle of May, I was doing classes online and, doing papers and that sort of thing. And then once the semester ended, it was really focusing on what kind of things I could do from a productive standpoint or from a personal standpoint, like looking at some of those goals that maybe you push to the side or you don't do them because, you don't have time or whatnot. So that was kind of what I was doing after school. But obviously being back in quarantine, it's been a little bit more difficult to to fulfill those goals and being in a house, but just trying to stay busy and keep in touch with everyone and prepare for after quarantine to see everyone and to kind of go back to normal for sure.
Emotionally get ready for social reintegration.
I know. And it's funny because every time you're around people you get almost tired like actually talking and socializing and you're like, wow, I need to go to sleep for a little bit and
So true.
the next part. So
I've adopted napping.
And it's so true. I find because people want to reconnect more and more through Zoom and through all these video calls, it is exhausting. You're on there for 2 hours and you're staring at a screen, which you're probably staring at for school and work and things. And then you have to socialize on top of that. It's not easy.
I know. I was fortunate though because I had so many friends from school that they were all over the place. So I try to utilize that time and reconnect with them, and which was awesome too because there's just so many times where you don't send the text, you don't call them. So it was just a even better reason to sit down and have a Zoom call or to have a glass of wine and chit chat about whatever was going on. So
So nice.
yeah, you can't complain about that really.
It is a nice time to make space for stuff like that. And like you said, kind of maybe rethink goals or think about what you're going to do after, because I feel like it doesn't feel like this for me anymore, but it did feel like this like rebirth of being able to recreate yourself and think about what you want to do after because you've had time to really focus and think.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And I think too, the way I saw it was that I was fortunate to be in a position where I could do that. Not everyone was. So I really wanted to try and be productive or try to utilize that time as much as possible because I was given an opportunity to do it and I had the time to. So you just try to make the most of it in a really, really weird situation.
Did you
Really
knock out
weird.
any fun goals?
Pardon?
Did you knock out any fun goals?
Everything is still a work in progress. It's crazy because I feel like I'll do one thing. I'm like, oh, today I really want to work on like doing, or this week I want to do my journal. So I journal this week, but then you almost feel like you're not doing enough or you're not really doing much of anything because it's not like you can go out to do like a workout and do this or that. It's more so like internal, I feel like, which it's been good. You can really focus on yourself and focus on, what's going on inside. But
That's Sarah's basically motivation every day.
I've got
Journaling.
so many journals.
yeah, sometimes you just write down a piece of paper and then you put it to the side and then you're like, oh, I remember when I wrote that 2 weeks ago. But
Totally. I'm with you. I'm here for it.
yeah.
And it's really interesting too, because I do set those routines, like whether it be journaling or working out or meditation, whatever, but I find they're still so fluid. Some days I just don't feel like doing it. And some days I'm really into it, but I don't know. It's a really weird time. So I think it's fun to explore those self-development things. Sarah's like, yeah.
Be in the ebb and flow. Live each day.
Right, exactly. You kind of have to take it as is and like just make the most of it and I think Ashley, what you were saying too is so true because it's almost like with more time you are able to fluctuate a little bit and you're like, oh, I don't have to do this right now. There's less structure. There's not as much pressure to do it. Whereas if you have a set schedule, if you have your routines, your work, your school, you kind of have to. So when you have more time, it's almost like, oh, I'm not going to do that today. And you really do have to hone in and focus on those goals and be consistent, I guess.
Absolutely.
Totally. Taylor, what are you doing in school right now?
So when I went to St. Cloud, I graduated with marketing and PR. So that was kind of when I went and started working with the Penguins. That's what I was doing. And then just wasn't the right fit for me. And so then I went and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I ended up going back to grad school for developmental psychology. So working with kids and working at schools and working with like different behaviors. And so for me, that kind of stemmed from coaching. So I really loved coaching. I really loved being around kids and being at camps and being a part of that whole atmosphere. And I think when I didn't get that from marketing and PR, which is, very different than coaching, I think it really made me question, like, what do I want to do on a day-to-day basis? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm in for developmental psychology, but when my first week of classes, I was sitting there and I remember thinking like, this is where I'm supposed to be. And it was actually that feeling of, I finally found it after, 5 years.
My heart. I'm so That's happy amazing. For you.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. But obviously with the circumstances, I was doing an internship and I was working with students in Pittsburgh and that was fun. But as soon as this happened, that ended as well. So I'm excited to get back to Pittsburgh and work with them again. But yeah, that will be later in the fall, I guess.
Okay, so you're home for the summer now. Like for school's going to be out soon and you're able to kind of have a bit of a vacation before you go back into that. That's really nice. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that's something you found. It sounds like it's your calling or something that really makes you happy.
Right. And I think it was funny because I remember reflecting on even, when you're 18 or 19 and you're trying to decide, what do you want to do or what, major you want. I remember thinking, like marketing, PR, that's kind of a basic major in that, I could do many different things. Mm-hmm. But it's crazy to think that people are asked to make that large life decision at such a young age, because I feel like even now, like I still go back and forth every day and wonder like, okay, what specifically do I want to do with this? I know I love it. I know I really want to work with kids or want to be in this atmosphere, this environment, but what specifically is it that I want to do? So, I mean, for people that say they want to be doctors or teachers, and I know 100%, like I'm really jealous of them because I feel like that's not the large majority of people, but yeah, I feel fortunate that I was able to kind of go back and find something that I really love.
It's so interesting that you say that because Sarah and I recently talked to a career coach, let's say, that we're going to have in the next few weeks on. And that's something Sarah and I have talked about it a lot. My parents used to tell me, you should be a teacher. You're so good with kids. You'd be such a good teacher. I was like, I don't want to be a damn teacher. Like, no shade on the teachers, but I just don't want to be a teacher. But I
Right.
had no idea what I want it to be, but I kind of envisioned, and I know Sarah's kind of like that too, that you always wanted to like work for yourself, or but it's still so unclear. And I am envious, like you said, that people just know
Right.
at a certain age, like, oh, this is what I want to do. And they do that program and they just continue on through their career. But I think it takes time, and we all come through different paths to kind of find out where we're meant to be.
100%. Yeah. And I think that at the end of the day, if you find something that you truly love, then you can consider yourself pretty lucky.
Totally. I have a question because Ashley, I know you and Taylor know each other, and I'm just meeting you now, which is lovely. I'm so happy to meet you. But as you mentioned, and as Ashley kind of referred to, you played hockey when you were at St. Cloud. Could you kind of tell us a little bit about your kind of life as an athlete and at what level you played?
Yeah, sure. So I left home. I was thinking about this. So it was 10 years ago. So when I was 14, I left home.
Wow, that's young,
What?
Taylor.
Yeah. And it's funny because I remember leaving home and I was like, oh, I'm so grown up. Like I'm really,
I got this.
I know everything. And I look back on it, I'm like, how did my parents even let me leave at that age? There's no way that I would let my daughter leave at 14.
You're like calling your mom.
Yeah.
And in the US, correct? Like you're not even nearby.
Yes. Right. So I went to Shattuck St. Mary. So it was in a small town in Minnesota. And so I went there for 4 years. I did a high school and junior high. And then when I graduated, I went to Northeastern University in Boston. So that was kind of, so 10 years ago, I went, left home, then I went to Northeastern, and then I transferred to St. Cloud State. And that was kind of my journey through the different schools that I've gone to.
So when you were 14, you left school, you left home to go play hockey. Is that why?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So
Okay.
so when you guys sent me some of, what we were going to talk about, some of the touch points, I was thinking, how different female hockey was even here. So there was 10 girls on my team. So maybe 10 girls, and I was the only goalie. And we practiced twice a week and we had like maybe one game. So for me, I wanted to play at the highest level. I wanted to play university in the NCAA Division I. And so for me, like I couldn't do that here. I wasn't going to be able to compete with some of the other girls that were practicing and they were playing a lot. So I didn't really have any other option than to leave. And so Shattuck was obviously kind of well known for being, a hockey school and a prep school. So yeah, I left, and I still think now today you look back and female hockey has grown so much. You don't have to leave here anymore. You can stay. The competition is high. There's so many, great coaches here. There's tools here. There's people here that can help you get to that next level. But for me, that was kind of the only option that I had at the time. But yeah, it's crazy to think that I was 14 and just left home.
That is like, oh, sorry, Ash.
I was going to say that's crazy, but I want to hear what you were going to say.
Well, like what? Yeah, okay, because it's going to be absurd, obviously. But like, I think it's so interesting because you just mentioned that, at 19, you had to make this life decision about what you wanted to do. But it sounds like at 14, you had that clarity, which is like really interesting, right? Like you knew you wanted to go away and play hockey, which as a 14-year-old, like I'm going to be honest with you, I was not aware of opportunities to leave my home.
Maybe I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was really young, but yeah, like I wanted to go on and play in the Olympics. That was like my big dream.
Okay, that's the dream.
That was the dream. So for me, I was like, if I have to leave home, I'm going to leave home and go to Shattuck. So I did. And to this day, I still say that the 4 years there were the best experience of my life. I had so much fun. It was like a little, I don't even know. It was a family. Like I still could go back there and see the same teachers and see these people and still reconnect with them and feel a part of that family. So it's really special. And I'm super grateful and thankful, I guess, for the opportunity that I was able to even go and experience that.
Absolutely. That's amazing. When, Taylor, if you can remember, obviously you started playing hockey. I don't know at what age, but when did you realize like I'm good at hockey and I want to keep playing hockey? Do you remember how old you were when you had that kind of first connection with it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you said, I grew up, I basically grew up at a rink. So I was around it, and I think I always felt attached to it in some regard, whether it was, watching or cheering or just running around the rink and,
I remember seeing you run around. I was much older than you, but I remember seeing you. You were like this little girl.
yeah. So, I mean, I was there and I just loved it. I loved the feeling of being at the rink. And so when I was 8, I remember I tried to convince my parents to let me play, and they needed some convincing because I think part of them thought that I wanted to play just because of Sydney. It wasn't necessarily because I wanted to play, and they didn't want me to feel that pressure. So it took me 2 years to kind of convince them to let me play. And once I did, though, so I was 10 when I started, and I don't think I had necessarily I don't think I ever questioned like it wasn't about being good. I just wanted to be good enough that I could go and play somewhere. I knew what my goal was, playing the Olympics. So I don't think it was necessarily, oh, I'm really good at goalie or I'm really good at hockey. It was more so I want to get better, every time I'm on the ice, or I want to get better and I want to be the best that I can be so that I can go and do this. But I think, as time went on, I was starting to try out for teams. I was starting to play at a higher level, and I was starting to kind of make a name for myself in the female hockey like world. So I think it took a couple of years before I was like, okay, like this is possible. Whereas when I first started, it was just something that I knew I wanted to work hard and to try to achieve when I was 10. But yeah.
That's awesome. And you mentioned you played the position, you were a goaltender. So what kind of, I know your dad was a goaltender. Is that why you chose that position? Because I feel like a lot of parents try and say not to be a goalie because it's hard, it's expensive. There's only 2 typically on a team.
Yeah.
So what kind of made you pick that position?
Honestly, and I don't know. I really don't. It almost, I don't want to say like it was just like thrown upon me one day and I just woke up and I was like, I want to be a goalie, but I really don't have, there wasn't a moment that can't pinpoint, but I do remember going to the games and being, really interested in the pads and like the swagger of goalies. Like I like the way on the ice that they kind of like, they were stretching and they had this like confidence, or they had this sort of like, I can't even describe it, but I was always very intrigued by it. And I don't know if that kind of was a genetic thing because my dad was a goalie and I was, wanted to kind of be like him, or if, I don't know, but I just remember that it was like one day I woke up and I told my parents, hey, like I want to be a goalie. And they're like, what? What is going on? Yeah, I mean, obviously my dad being a goalie was a huge part of it. Like I felt like I was a lot closer with him because of it. But yeah, I still remember, because I did try to be a player at one point. I had a couple goals, and I remember sitting on the bench after I scored, and I was like, it was fun, but it wasn't like the same. It wasn't the same feeling that I got when I made a save. And I think to this day, I still don't have something that's comparable to that feeling of making a save. That same like adrenaline rush, which is cool, but it's also I think that unless you're a goalie, you can't even relate to that feeling.
Well, we can't because I've never been a goalie.
But I'm just
soccer at the odd time.
I feel like I'm relating in my heart right now as you're talking about these things. I'm like, oh my God, I can feel it.
Sarah, have you ever played hockey?
No, I can skate though. Have I ever played hockey? No, I grew up, well, I did ballet. Come on, Ash, let's.
Ballet. I think
very different.
Ballet a little bit, right?
Yes.
What?
Every girl does ballet or tap jazz, like that's a phase.
It was a phase.
It was my life.
That was Sarah's calling. She went to university and was on the dance and cheerleading team. So at least you were good, Sarah.
Yeah.
No, I like dancing. So are you. I think we're all dancers at heart. Or goalies. Yeah. All the same.
All good at something.
I think it's so interesting though, like how much this sport has changed. Well, and even when you talk about ballet, because like you said, you had to convince your parents to let you play hockey, and that wasn't obviously your brother's case. Mm-hmm. And like you had to go away to play and keep going. Like, it's fantastic that you had that passion at such a young age. But I mean, like, how much has the sport changed for women?
Oh my God, it's incredible. And that's why I was laughing, because I was just trying to reflect on my experience and, some of the things that I went through. And I don't think I necessarily felt, I don't even know if I felt that tug or that, comparison between boys and girls hockey. I played with the boys and I played with the girls. So I had both sides, but I never kind of saw the transition. And then when you look back, I think I was probably in university at this point, and I look back and I saw that teams here were larger. They had more competitive teams, travel teams, and I was thinking, like, yeah, I was a part of that. Like, I was the girl when there was 10 girls on the team, one goalie, and now there's tryouts for multiple teams. So it's incredible that in such a short amount of time, and in the grand scheme of things, that it's grown so much, and it's so well recognized now, especially in the States too. It's a huge deal. And I think that overall, like, everyone else is trying to catch up and to really broadcast some of the girls and their talents and the sport itself.
Absolutely. What do you think? This is probably a question you get asked all the time, but I feel like I played sports my whole life. Obviously, not even after university. I stopped, or I didn't even play to university. But there's always stereotypes that are associated with female athletes. But I feel like with hockey players, for women, it's even bigger. Like, there's a stereotype around that. Like, do you kind of feel that stereotype, or do you experience those sorts of things?
Yeah, I think I personally, I noticed it more after I was done playing. When you would tell someone, "Oh, I played hockey, or I played Division I hockey," there was like, "Oh, you did." Like, I wouldn't expect you to play hockey because you're wearing this or that. Like, there was almost like this physical appearance that was probably a part of being an athlete. And I don't think when I was playing I necessarily felt that stereotype. I think that there's this big, strong type stereotype that's associated with being an athlete and being strong and muscular. But I think after I stopped playing, there was this feeling that I couldn't almost do both. Like, I couldn't be a professional and be an athlete at a certain point. Like, there was almost like um, it didn't go together. Like, you had to be one or the other. It couldn't be both. And I don't know. I think, to me, like, that's part of the issue of why maybe female sports are still trying to grasp and to grow, because there's this idea of what it looks like to be a female athlete, when it shouldn't be a look. It should just be, this is what I am, this is what I do. And yeah, I think that's part of the issue, maybe.
Yeah, it's always interesting because no matter even what industry you're in for work or what sports you play, there's people always have something
Oh,
associated with like what that looks like in a box. But I mean, it's just so ridiculous. But I feel like you would have definitely experienced, yeah, those sorts of comments, like you said, oh, you don't look like a female hockey player or whatever. And it's so absurd.
I think that people just place, you can think about it in a number of, different settings, but I think you're placed to a category or into a structure system that's kind of created by a society. It's, if you're this, then you're placed into this category. If you like this, then you're placed into that category, and it's not necessarily fluid. So yeah, I think that probably everyone's, I don't know, necessarily struggles with it, but I think that it's probably prevalent in all sports, and whether you're male or female, if you are a male, it's probably a similar take. But
I have a question. Like, you kind of mentioned this at some point, you couldn't have hockey and a career. Was that a hard thing to like go through? I know, kind of, unless are like your brother and get to play at the highest level for your career. He plays in the NHL, and like for many athletes, that's I think a hard time, like you see it with athletes here in university after they go places, they put their career on hold for a few years to see where they can keep playing. And then I even think for women, maybe you can talk about this, like those options don't really exist past university, do they? Or
Yeah, I mean, I think now today there are leagues that you can play, but they're by no means at the same level as the NHL or some of the professional leagues for the men. But I think that as time goes on, they will have those leagues that are more prominent that you can go and just play. Females can go and just play hockey and not have to have a second career in order to have a life. But I think that for me, I'm probably a part of a large majority group of the females that go to school, they play hockey, they go to, and then they graduate, and then they're saying, what's next? And so for them, what's next is a career. And I think that adjustment for me took time, and it was difficult, but it was also very overwhelming in the sense where you're almost overwhelmed with all of the opportunities or all the things that you want to do, because for so long your identity or your goal had been to play hockey or to be the best hockey player. And so then all of a sudden you graduate, you no longer play, and now it's like, okay, well, what's my career? What is my what's next? What do I want to do? Do I want to be a dancer? Do I want to be a teacher? Do I want to be a doctor? All of these things kind of come at you really fast, and all these big life decisions. But so for me, I think it probably took up until going back to grad school, so up almost 2 years for me to be like, okay, like this is the new me in a sense. But I think that being a hockey player is still part of my identity, because I can take things that I've learned from the sport and apply them to my work. But that took time, and I think that when you identify those values, hard work, teamwork, all of those kind of lessons that you take away, you almost say, okay, it wasn't for nothing, or it wasn't just a separate identity. This is actually a part of who I am now, and it's a part of who I'm going to become, which is it's a really cool stepping stone. But again, like I said, I think I'm a part of a larger majority of women that play a sport, they go to school and they graduate and they have to move on to something else. But I think it's reassuring when you're able to actually take away so many wonderful experiences and life lessons and apply them to, your quote unquote new life, is what I was saying.
There's transitional skill sets.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly.
And you maybe don't realize. I just still feel like that would be so hard. And this is not so much a question as just like, I guess maybe your perspective on it. Like, I just psychologically, like, you don't get the opportunity to make something bigger of this. And that's just frustrating to me, even listening to you talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and to me, it is frustrating, but to me, I think, like we had talked about before, is that to see how much it's grown from the time I began, playing hockey, I think that there's just so much, there's a positive, positive trend, and if everyone's patient and they're consistent and they still continue to grow the game, that eventually it will get there. And I think just because I'm not a part of that doesn't mean that I don't believe that it will get there, or that I want to help be a part of that.
That's awesome. That's so promising. Like, that feels wonderful.
Yeah, I just think that people sometimes they forget about the history and how it's been 15 years maybe that we've made this progress. So just think another 15 years, it's not going to happen overnight, but it's exciting. I'm excited for the girls. I'm a little jealous. I will say I'm a little jealous of them, but I think that I'm more excited for them to have that opportunity.
That's awesome. I love what you said about the skills that sports teach you, how they're so transferable, I can't talk today, into everyday life or into your new quote unquote like career in life. And I think that is so true. Like, being able to work under pressure and work with others and be a leader is something that when you're hiring a person, that is like the main things that you look for. So I think that sports definitely teach us all so many great things that do go forward into life. Sarah?
And like just discipline for training.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Like go to bed early, get up and train.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Tell us, do you go to bed early?
Do I?
Yeah.
I try to, but I'm the
Well,
worst.
what's early?
Um, I mean, I could go to bed at 10, but still stay awake until 12:30. But then
Okay.
but then I almost have to punish myself because I'm like, okay, well, I have to get up at 6:30 then, but I'm not gonna like I have to, basically it's the 6.5 hours. Like I didn't go to bed early enough, so I have to get up kind of thing. But I wish I could go to bed early. I wish I was a good sleeper because there's people that they can fall asleep like that, and I'm jealous of them.
I'm not one of those people.
Neither am I.
Are you guys night owls?
Um, yeah, Sarah is. She's like 2:30. She forgot she started reading and she's like, what's happening?
No, I'm not a night owl. I'm a no schedule
Yeah.
person. I really like when other
You're a
people
night
set
nomad.
whatever. But I could also go to bed at 9:30, so who knows?
Keep people on their toes.
Always.
So Taylor, like you just mentioned, you transitioned from, well, you're still in university, but kind of that career or hockey, sorry, focus to now kind of career driven focus. And what has your daily life, how has that changed? What's different? I'm sure before you were like practice training, really focused on hockey. And now what does your day look like?
Well, so after I graduated, I was working. So I was working like a 9 to 5 job. And I think that transition was a lot more difficult than, being back in school and having my internship today. So originally when I started working after school and, training and playing hockey, it, it was hard. I was so tired. I could not imagine having to have kids, having to actually take care of other people besides myself because I was exhausted. And I could, it would be a task just to get home from work and have to make myself supper. And it was, I mean, it was eye-opening because I felt like I was an athlete. I was doing school, I was working out, I was skating, all these different things. But it was a whole different lifestyle that certainly needed some time to adjust. So obviously over the course of time, I adjusted to that and was able to fit in working out before work or after work. And like the thought of working out after you have a whole day of sitting at your desk at the office was just, it was beyond me. I was like, there's no way. I could see people running, doing half marathons after they work or after this. And I was thinking, how do they do that? How do they function? It's incredible.
I'm sorry. I still want to know how they do it.
I know it's, and then have to have children to to look after. I have Henry, so he kept me busy, but that for sure was a huge adjustment. And I think transitioning back to now with grad school and the internship, I think that certainly is more relatable to what it was like when I was playing hockey, because it's very flexible and the time is scattered more so I have class or I have my internship depending on the day. That has been a lot more, has been easier, but certainly the work, like a normal job was a bit of an adjustment. But you learn and again, you utilize those skills that you learn playing hockey and being on a team, and you kind of prioritize and you find ways to get some energy and to work out or have a healthy lifestyle and still maintain a career and be better and that sort of thing. But it certainly was an adjustment to say the least.
I often wonder, and my brother and I have this conversation all the time. I'm like, how did our parents, well, my dad was working a lot. I'm like, how did our mom do everything? How did she make dinner, take you to hockey, take me to tennis, to ballet, to soccer? It's crazy because I'm with you. I can barely sometimes take care of myself or make dinner for myself, put my laundry away.
God help us when we have children.
Oh, and my mom doesn't drink coffee, so I was thinking,
Trina, come on.
I was thinking, like, how did you function? Like, there's no way that that's even possible, because I would have coffee. I would need to have, if I didn't have coffee, then there's no way that I would be able to do all of those things and take care of kids and drive them places and to be a part of that. So I certainly have to start preparing myself for whenever that day comes.
Shout out to moms.
Yes.
We love you.
Oh, yeah, they rock. But I think you just kind of get in that mode of like fight or flight. I need to just do it. But they're probably exhausted 99% of the time.
And to be clear, I was not laughing at you when you were saying like you were trying to get home from work. I was like, yes, I've felt it. We've all, the transition from like, and you were an athlete. Like, let's be clear, I was doing almost nothing in university. Like, that was a shocking transition for sure.
But it's part of it, and you learn, and you find a way, basically.
We're growing up.
And I think it gets easier when you find a career or passion that gets you out of bed and that gets you excited. But when you aren't used to that kind of like structure in a workday, it seems so cumbersome of every task. You're like, it's only 10:30 in the morning. I have an entire day.
Right. And I mean, we go back to that feeling of stopping a puck. Excuse me. The feeling of stopping a puck compared to sitting at your desk and looking at a screen is not very comparable. So
very different.
Yes, very different and an adjustment, but you just try to apply those skills and find ways to make it fun and to learn and enjoy it, because I mean, it's work. You have to do it. You have to work. You have to be doing something. You just hope that it's something that you love.
Do you hope to get back? Do you hope to go into coaching at some point, Taylor?
Mm-hmm. I do it once in a while, just on the side as like a volunteer, but once I'm back to that structure of a job and somewhat normal life, I would love to kind of be a part of that and to get back to the game, because I do miss it.
Totally. And Ashley, you probably have questions, and like they're on a path, as you know. I'm going on a different path, so I'm sorry. How would you like to see kind of hockey change in the next 15 years? Like, what do you want to see? And like maybe even beyond hockey for kind of female athletics in general?
I mean, I think obviously I would love to see it be more prominent on TV and be broadcasted and to be, I don't want to say equal, but I think to be comparable, I think to the men's side and to the men's leagues. But I think that overall, I just want, it'd be cool to see a girl like grow up and just know that she could play in a professional league and to make money, or to go and to be a part of, whatever sport she may be, and to be a pro. And I think if we could get there, that would be awesome. And not necessarily to the point where it's equal necessarily. It's just comparable. It's something that when you start playing hockey, you can say, oh, when I grow up, I want to play in the NWHL, or when I grow up, I want to play in the women's soccer league, and have that be kind of like a well-known thing. It's not just a shot in the dark. It's an actual dream that you can, do.
An opportunity. Totally.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that, because I
was
think
really
that
looking forward to the women's world championship that were they supposed to be now, or in like a month ago or something in Halifax, but then they got canceled obviously because of COVID. But I think that it was completely sold out and people were so excited about that. So I hope that things do change for sure to be more, I guess, like front and center. Maybe not quite as much as men right away, but just to have more opportunities for women to see those potentials and to see that there are role models and people out there that are like young girls who they might relate to.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think, like I said before, it's just a process, and it's a gradual thing, but I think just over time it will get there.
I also don't think we should be afraid to say, like, at some point could have equal pay and things like that.
Well,
like, I think that should be the dream if we're going to set it.
Absolutely.
We need to take these steps.
Totally. But it's nice to hear that conversation and that you're thinking it, because, like, to be fair, I mean, you're younger than we are, but you're so lucky in your youth. Ashley and I are becoming old ladies. But like growing up, totally, that wasn't even like in the realm of possibility. And like you even saw with Kobe Bryant and his daughter, like one of his big missions was to make women's basketball something that is like that is valued and appreciated as much as men's basketball. And you're starting to see finally, I mean, the WNBA has been around for ages, but you're starting to finally see those women being actually paid more, and kind of respected for their talents and for their work and abilities. So it's nice to start seeing that this is actually, you would go away to go to school, and now it's like, oh wait, we can actually talk about this being part of the future.
And I think part of that too is what you're saying, that being respected. I think in general, equal pay would be amazing, but I think that to have women be able to be seen for their talents and to see their skills kind of shown off, I think that whole part of it is super crucial, and it's important too. As much as equal pay and being equal to the men's side is important, I think it's just as important to showcase, what the women's game or what the women's sports can do, and just, showcase their hard work and their talents.
And maybe not always compare men to women in sports, because we are different. But like you're saying, if you just showcase and kind of appreciate exactly what women are able to do in sports and how good they are, and just leave comparisons alone, I think people would really kind of see it in a different light. It's a very, I don't know, it's a very strange thing, I think, when, I don't know.
Yes, physically we're different. Although I will say, shout out to the St. FX women's rugby team, who I'm pretty sure could have destroyed the men's rugby team any day.
There's some amazing feeling. Did you have, I guess, like someone you looked up to when you were younger, Taylor, that was a female role model?
I didn't have one specifically, but it's funny because I remember going to, I had a lot. So I would go to camps, and I remember that like some camps I would go and I'd be like one of maybe 2 or 3 girls. And then sometimes I would go to an all girls camp. And I remember there'd always be, sometimes I wouldn't even really know the girl that much, but there would always be an older girl kind of like demoing the drills, or she would be the leader of the camp. And I remember always thinking like, I want to be like her. I want to be like them. And I think that when I look back, all of those girls that, maybe they played university at the time, or maybe they played 2 or 3 levels up from me, those girls served as my role models, because they were kind of they were competing with the boys at that time, or they were showcasing their skills. So for me, it wasn't necessarily like a celebrity or a well-known hockey player by any means. It was more so these girls that were immediately like, they were helping me change my game to be a better hockey player, but they also were showing me that I could take it to the next step, or I could be competing with the boys, or I could be a really good skater and be better than the boys. And so for myself, when I think about coaching, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to showcase. I want to show the girls, okay, this is where I was sitting in your shoes. This is where I am now, and you can do that. And I think that when it's right there in front of you, it's a lot easier to imagine yourself being able to do it. Whereas sometimes if you're looking at a female hockey player that played for Hockey Canada or whatnot, it's a huge accomplishment, and I'm sure they're role models, but it's hard to see that just because it's so, it's still so, not rare, but it's still not as, what's the word? It's just common. Not, common maybe. Yeah. And so that, for me, it was like these, they probably didn't even know that they were my role models. And I grew up and I was like, oh, I want to be like Boots, or I want to be like her. And that was just how I kind of modeled my game, I guess, or who I wanted to be.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's so nice. And like, I think speaks a lot to the community and like the impact that coaching has, and even just like taking part in helping players coming behind you.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's cool. And I think, like I said before, female hockey was still growing so much here. So to see a girl that was playing for Dalhousie was a big deal. And for me, I was like, oh, I want to be like them, or I want to carry myself like them, or you try to like tie your skates like them, or you just kind of walk the walk. And I think, it was a really cool, I'm glad that I was able to reflect on that, because I really don't have like one specific, but I just remember like there was these girls that as I was growing up and playing and trying to be better, like there was these girls along the way that were kind of like these benchmarks that I was trying to be.
That's so awesome. I love that.
I know, my heart is so happy.
Sarah, maybe someone will think that way about us someday.
We'll have this whole podcast.
I'm praying for those people. God love you.
But I think it's really nice. It's so nice to have role models in your community, like you said, that are at that university level that you're like, I can do that. I can get there. I'll go to university. It's not necessarily someone that's at a celebrity status. It seems like you can feel and envision that you could be her too, which is, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's nice, just kind of to be honest, this is a totally new realm for me. I know, Ashley, you had a brother, you grew up in the hockey scene. I grew up in the ballet scene in Newfoundland, so very different.
Hockey scene.
Yeah, I know. I'm making things up, obviously. But it's nice to hear, Taylor, your vision for, it's nice to hear such a beautiful experience that you had and how you've been able to transition and take that experience and bring it to the rest of your life. And also the vision you really set and see for the future of women's hockey and like women's athletics. Like I'm loving it. I just think you have such a nice vision for it.
Yeah, but I think I just believe in it. I really do. I think that, especially when I don't want to say you live it, but you just reflect on where you started and where it was, like what you're saying before, when you can actually physically see it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what is reassuring and what reminds you that like it will happen. It just takes time and some patience and hard work.
Love it. Here's an unimportant question.
Okay.
Well, it's not unimportant. How in shape were you when you were playing hockey all the time? Like how? Oh
Well,
my! I mean, I can see
As
you through the screen. You're already like super in shape, but I'm like,
but you're a big runner now, right, Taylor?
Yeah. So actually, it's funny. So I mean, training for hockey was so different. I was disciplined, but I remember in the summers, like it would be you were training every day or eating the right things, and it was you felt really good, and then the season would kick in, and it was okay if you ate a couple donuts here and there, like had some Timbits or whatever. Like, it was just part of that. But in the summer, it was very like regimen. And now, like Ashley was saying, I started running, which when I was playing hockey, I hated running. I despised it. I would look at people running on the street and think like, why would they put themselves through that? And then there was people that would be talking and like chit-chatting when they were going for a jog. And I was like, how is that even possible? Like, that's not even a thing. Like, why would you, if you're going to talk to someone, just go have coffee and sit down and chat.
You poor souls.
Yeah. And so for some reason, I don't even know how it happened. I started going for runs. I think I was trying to find something when I would go to the gym after work, once in a while.
The days you could.
Yeah, on the good days. I didn't love it. I wasn't finding like happiness in it, and I was like, this is not working. So I would go for a run, and it started out being like maybe 20 minutes. It was a very short run. I hated every moment of it, but when I came back, I felt better. And my friend and I, we started going, and we actually started like chit chatting. And I was thinking, I'm becoming like one of those people, and slowly it just kind of stuck. And I think for the first time since like post hockey, running kind of served as I don't want to say comparable, but it was an outlet, because I felt like when I would go for runs, it was almost like when I was in the net, there was these ebbs and flows, constantly. One minute you were loving it, the next minute you were like, oh, I'm going up a hill, this is terrible. Then you reach the top of the hill and then you're back on this high, or you're thinking about your day, and it's just you and your mind kind of, or your thoughts. And so I kind of started loving it. And then I trained and I did the half marathon in Pittsburgh last year. And after I ran, I was like, I'm doing the full marathon 100%. And
what?
Yeah. So my friend was like, well, why don't you give it some time? So I said, okay. So probably a month later, I was like, there's no way that I could do that again, like do a whole half marathon and then have to run it again. And I don't know, I just ended up, I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. So ironically, I think I was in shape when I was training for hockey, but the most in shape I've been was when I was training like for the marathon. But I think it's cool that I was, again, we go back to those transferable skills, is that the things that I learned, the training habits and the regimen that I learned from hockey and training there, I was able to apply to something that was a new love or a new enjoyment that, you know, I shouldn't even say enjoyment, because at a certain point it's not enjoyable anymore. It doesn't matter. Like when you end up running that far, like it's just, it hurt, everything hurts. But
I love your honesty.
yeah.
Running's hard.
You have to get in the mind. If you're not in the mindset, then you might as well just stay home or go for a walk or something. It's just not
Totally.
It's difficult, but yeah, it's certainly.
That's awesome.
We didn't get to do it because of the virus, obviously. So
you didn't get to run your marathon?
No. So all that training, and we weren't able to run it.
Oh my God. When was it supposed to be?
May. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was canceled.
2021.
Yes. So I
there's always next year.
I did a test run of the training, and then I'll be ready to go for next year. But yeah, it's really cool. And again, like I said, it was the first kind of sport or thing that I kind of found that was comparable to being on the ice again.
That's awesome. I try and run. I mean, I'm like a 5-6K person, and then I'm out, but I've also had 3 knee surgeries, and I'm just like, this is just not for me. It hurts. And I think by the time I'm 60, I'm going to be in terrible, like worse condition. So
I pray for your and your brother's knees when you tell me you guys are going running. You shouldn't. Just don't.
I don't know what's wrong with us, but I think it's definitely something. I feel like people are determined with running and or built to run, and I feel like I'm neither of those.
No, but that you think that, and then once, I mean, maybe you, like you said, you had your knee surgery, so you may not want to, but I think that's a mindset that people have. Like I always thought, like, oh, there's no way that I played hockey. There's no way that I'm built for running. Mm-hmm. And you just start doing it, and you don't really care about what you look like at the end of it. Although I don't think I've ever seen a video of me running, and if I did, I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would. There
those like weird shots towards the finish line? Yeah. We did do the 10K last year, Sarah, the Blue Nose, which obviously is not happening, but yeah. I mean, that was good.
There's an optional Blue Nose that we could, oh no, we're in June. We've missed it. I was going to say we could run it remotely, Ash, but it's done.
I would do it. I mean, I have my spin bike right beside my desk. That's kind of like the cardio knee friendly
thing
I'm into.
You spin, Taylor and I will run.
Yes.
Well, call me. You can chit chat like all the ladies.
But there's so many like really cool exercise classes, or there's group settings, which I feel like is super relatable to like a team atmosphere too. If you think about running, there's just this huge assortment of different workouts that you probably never heard of. Like there's the climbing classes, or the Zumba classes. Like there's all these different assortments, and I'm like, wow, like the world is really my oyster at this point. Like I can try anything.
I know. And you can do it virtually right now, which is super cool. Do you golf at all in the summer?
I don't. It's work in progress for me. I'm trying to get better.
Maybe we should all golf together, because I'm trying to. I feel like that's the only thing. I just watched The Last Dance, like the Michael Jordan documentary, and I'm like, I want something really competitive right now. What can I try and like challenge?
I'm sorry, myself? Golf is the first thing that comes to mind.
Well, yeah, because I feel like I would be able to improve. You know what I mean? Like I would be able to see the progression. Here's where I am, and I'd be like I throw things. I would. Yeah. I'm very.
She's an angry golfer, Taylor.
I'm an angry golfer. Tennis, forget it. Like my racket smashed because I just am so competitive. So I feel like golf is that like edge,
You just have to make sure that there's no one in front of you or behind you, so that you can actually, you can throw your club or something if you have to.
I know. Jeff literally dies laughing. He's like, this is so entertaining. I want to golf with you all the time. Speaking of Jeff, I see in our little document, Sarah has a question that came from, we have one viewer listener question. Sarah, what is
one question from Jeff Keel, Ashley's husband. Taylor,
Yeah.
this is a hard-hitting question, so just zone in for a moment for us if you could. I hear you and Sidney are quite competitive with each other. Is that true?
Yes.
Has it all? Tell
But
us.
I feel like it's kind of past. I don't want to say passive. It's like a quiet competitiveness.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Like I don't think that we're outrightly like saying, "Oh, like let's go try this." Like I'll be more like we're doing.
I hope not.
You know, if we're say I use like driving a car for example. Like if I was driving a car and he was driving a car, like getting from point A to point B, we would secretly be trying to compete who got there the fastest. But it's like it's not a
And like argue over which route was the best strategy to get there.
right, but it's not talked about. It's just kind of like it's just there. But I think that that's the same in any, sibling battle.
I love that.
I could agree. I think, yeah, I think that that's so true.
Who often wins though? Like that's the real question.
So I would say he does, but then I would argue that I'm more the type that I'm not going to sit there and argue with you and say like, oh, I won until my face is blue. But so I would say, okay, you won. But he was going to say, oh, like, so I would say, oh, I let him win. But he would probably say, no, I won. So that's another, it's just, it's just an ongoing battle, but you can never win it. So, yeah, it's just,
I love that.
It's a good thing that we don't live together at this point, or we had time apart because it probably would have been more of a battle. But yeah,
that's amazing.
You
I
know
feel
what?
like my brother and I aren't that competitive because I think he's really probably scared of me.
100% he's scared of you, Ashley.
I'm technically like, I just turned 33 and he's 35, or he will be 35 this summer, but I feel like I'm 10 years older than But with Jeff, everything's a competition. We play cards and I'm just like so angry about, I'm like, why can't I beat you at anything?
Because Jeff's not as scared of you.
Annoying.
Like Greg's scared. Like we could all, no offense, Greg.
We love
this
you,
is
Greg.
not going to go over well. We could all make Greg cry. He's afraid of us. And like Jeff isn't afraid of you, Ashley. No offense. Well, I
He
don't
should
think
be.
he should. Well, yeah, that every good relationship is built on fear.
Oh my God.
But I think you know what, Taylor, on the Rival and Queen podcast and in the network of our listeners, we will back you and say that you are the winner. You're just not going to argue about it.
You're the winner in our eyes.
next time.
Just let him know that the next time that you guys are competing. Should be like, if we call up the Rival and Queen gals, they'll vote.
It's on. Taylor, what are you most excited about this summer? I know there's no hockey school, which I was so excited about happening, and that's on the back burner because of COVID. So what do you have planned?
To be honest, I want to do. So this is it's funny. This is the first summer that I'll actually have that will be almost like a real summer. So, up until this point, every summer was either I had like a part-time job, I was training, or I would only be home for like maybe 5 days or just for the camp. So I wasn't actually able to go and explore and do all the hikes and the Nova Scotia type tours and the fun stuff that everyone like actually tourists come here to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that when everything kind of goes back to normal, that I'm able to experience the hikes and do that sort of stuff. But
There's so many good hikes and beaches and
coffee shops, all that fun stuff.
yes.
But yeah, so that's what I'm excited for. But I think in general right now, I'm just excited to be able to like maybe see my parents and give them a hug or, the very bare necessities at this point.
Hugging. We're all for it.
Yes, exactly.
You're going to have a full Nova Scotia summer. That's amazing. I feel like everyone thinks that way right now, just staying in your region, supporting local businesses and local, even just the cottages and things that you may never have went to and visited and rented and kind of just exploring all of our beautiful province. I know we're going to do that, Sarah. We're going to Cape Breton next weekend.
Next weekend, girl.
just for like a vacation.
Yeah,
Weekend getaway.
we
Is
can
it
get away.
technically a staycation, I guess, or is that just when is a staycation?
You know what? I'm going to say yes. But I've never been to Cape Breton other than to drive through and go to Newfoundland. What?
You've never been to Cape Breton?
Well, Ashley, we all know my thoughts on this. Let's not bring it up on
She
the
doesn't like Cape
podcast.
Breton. But we're going to stay in those really cool, those domes.
The glamping or something? Is it the
No, it's not
Glamping, yes.
Well, it kind of is, but it's essentially you're in the cottage, and then the whole front of the cottage is this big window dome, and there's a hot tub and everything, and you're just looking at the Bador Lake. So we're so excited.
That's a vacation.
Yeah.
Yes. You know what? It's a COVID vacation.
Yes, absolutely.
We're very excited.
Well, you have to let me know how it is. Maybe I'll make my way up there eventually.
Absolutely.
We'll get you on FaceTime.
This has been so good. We love to ask all of our podcast guests one final question, and that is, what lights you up right now? What are you most excited about in life? It could be anything. It could be you and Henry drinking coffee.
Henry's the cat for the listeners.
Yeah. I think, well, obviously with the circumstances now, I think it's just getting back to normal and being able to see your friends and have that kind of normal socialization and go to a restaurant and go shopping and do kind of the normal things. But I think too, what has been lighting me up, I guess, is just being kind of back into nature and being on the lake and kind of just having a cup of coffee and kind of taking a moment to be with myself and to really just reflect on the things I'm grateful for and, the opportunities that I've had and kind of just reflect on my own experiences to this date and just moving forward, what am I going to do to be a better person? What am I going to do to keep being better and to, just make the most of my time here.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that Dartmouth is much different than Pittsburgh. I've been there many times, so I'm sure you can really appreciate the nature and that quiet time at home. That's
Absolutely.
nice.
Yeah.
Although shout out to Pittsburgh. We thought it was a great city. I had a great time when we were there.
There's tons of bridges. It's great.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Sarah came to the, what was the event called? I don't know.
The Valentine's Day one.
Yes.
Yes. So we took them through all the hot spots. It was a great time. We loved it.
Yes. But there's nothing like home. That's what I
Absolutely. And being around, I mean, when you're away, you do miss just running into people and seeing family. So yeah, that's nice. We're happy you're back.
Happy to be back.
I'm happy you're back. And I'm happy to meet you. And hopefully we'll reconnect again over summer.
Maybe in person.
Before we end, our favorite part of the episode, Westigrams. It's a made-up game. You've probably never heard of it. So it's all good. Really easy because we're playing virtually. All you do is pick a number between 1 and 87. And I'm going to read you a question. Then Ashley will go. Then I'll go. We'll all answer one.
Okay. So I just pick it.
Any number between 1 and 87.
We usually have cards. It's not usually a number format. It's usually these cute little Westie cards.
29.
29.
Is that your number?
It is. Yeah.
I knew you were going to pick that. And I meant to tell Sarah I was going to look up your number and say, make sure that's a good question.
I think it's a great question. Okay. Bubbles or no bubbles in your bath?
Bubbles, 100%.
Really?
Yes.
Do you like baths?
I love baths. It's like part of my routine at this point of the quarantine. Sometimes it's a bath and a shower in a day because you have nothing else to do.
I love both.
Very clean.
You sound so clean.
Gosh.
I love it. Ash, what number would you like, my darling?
I'm going to go with 42.
42.
I don't know why.
Ashley, is weed for you?
No, it is not. It's not. Why are you looking at me, for anyone watching the video? But no, I mean, I like wine better. I'm not a cannabis person, Sarah. I'm just
all
not.
good.
I know it's legal. I know it's fine. It's just not for me.
No shade. All good. Taylor, well, you live in the States, so just don't answer this one. It's not for you. All right. I'm going to go 52 for some weird reason. You can jump in a time machine. Would you go to the past or the future?
Oh,
Ooh, that's a good one.
I'm going to go to the future. I'm just going to roll the dice. Normally, I would go say, like, let's go to the past and see what's. No, I don't want to go to the past. I'm going to be honest
There's
with you.
too much shit that happened in the past that you'd have to deal with.
yeah.
Here's the reality. I'm not good at cleaning. I'm not good at like not being able to do what I want. The past is not for me. I don't think I'd thrive there.
You'd be in jail, probably.
I would be
You'd get
jailed.
locked up.
Totally, I'm completely jailed. And like so women's rights, very happy they have advanced. I'm betting on the future. Taylor, where would you go? Past or future?
I think the future would be cool, but part of me, I don't want it. I want it to keep it a surprise. But I think it'd be cool to see it. Like I want to see it, but I don't know if I.
It'd still be a surprise though. Like you don't know what you're going to.
That's true. Yeah, I would say the future. The past is the past. You learn from it, move on. The future would be cool to see.
Ash?
What women's hockey is like then.
Yes.
Well, I don't want to go. I look at this two ways. If I could go back perhaps and redo things in the past, I'd be into that. But I'm not going back to like 1920 or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. So I would probably, it depends how far back I could go. I don't know.
You
I'm gonna
as far
go
back as you want. You want to go back to see the dinosaurs? We can make it happen.
I mean, maybe.
Go back to class now. Dinosaurs?
It might give you a better appreciation for what we have now if you
Do you know
things
what
in
we
the
could do?
past.
I'd go back to when Shopify was trading at like $99. Buy a bunch of that, cash that in now.
Yeah. You'd be rich and you could take Taylor and I somewhere amazing.
Let's go, girls. I'm down.
No more
Awesome.
staycations for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll
we're
get the
outta
private
here.
plane. We're off to Greece.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Taylor. It was so nice to see you and catch up. And we just had so much fun and we appreciate you spending this time with Sarah and I.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. It's been so nice to learn about this, and you've opened my eyes. It's great.